in conspiracies doesn't mean you believe everything. It just means you can have a conversation about it, right? So if you come to me and you say, hey, Michelle Obama is a giant chocolate dong, okay? Am I...
Everybody already knew that.
Right? Am I going to run around crazy like the sky's falling? No. I'm going to be like, okay, not my thing, but what do you got? I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies. Tonight's going to be an amazing episode, fantastic episode. We have the pleasure of bringing on Sam Tripoli from the Tinfoil Hat Comedy Club. I think I said that right. But either way, Sam Tripoli is fucking on Talk Junkies, man. So we're excited, man. Either way, that's all it comes down to.
We're very excited.
So thanks for joining, man. How the fuck is it going?
Guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, I got a podcast called Tinfoil Hat, and it's great, and I'm happy to be talking to some Chief fans. It's fine. You guys want to enjoy that. Enjoy that.
Oh, we're living it up, man.
Back to back.
We're living it up.
Well, I'm happy. It's really weird to be like, to have been excited to root for Chief fans. It was a weird thing, but as a Raider fan, it was awkward. But just Mahomes is an interesting guy. He's he's kind of bigger than the sport, which is interesting. You know, I live in L.A., and we have the Chargers here, and they are a lost franchise. They're a lost franchise.
Absolutely.
Like, they have zero fan base. They need somebody like a Mahomes to come in to get anybody to care for them, because not bringing the Raiders here is the dumbest move ever. They should have brought the Raiders here, which would have totally galvanized the city. You would either be a Raiders fan or a Rams fan, and now nobody cares about either team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of answers my question about, I was curious how you felt about the Raiders going to Vegas. Because as a Chiefs fan, I'm excited to go to that game this year and spend some time in Vegas, because that sounds dope. But
yeah, get to play some poker, watch the Chiefs, kill them in what is it, the Sunday night primetime game? I'm pretty sure is the first one that we play against them. But yeah, in Las Vegas. But no, I'm excited about that.
You guys you guys enjoy it. I think it's going to be great. The only problem is you guys are going to be coming up on when Mahomes gets his big contract, and that usually is when teams take a beating, and it sucks because they do deserve to get paid so much, but it takes away from them being able to spend anywhere else. So, so enjoy it. I think you guys deserve it. I love the game. I love Andy Reid. I'm glad he got his chip. And I think the quarterback position should be separate from the cap.
Yes.
The owners will never do it because they're making so much money and they just don't understand it's just so weird. For billionaires, they don't seem to see big picture. And it would be much better if they could take that aside and just be able to spend on the rest of the team. And they would be good for a long time. But who knows, man? But it's fun. It was fun to watch, and I'm glad Andy Reid got his chip.
Hey, Patty Mahomes is fun to watch. Derek Carr is not. So we'll take Patty Mahomes all day. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for keeping it 100.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm not against that. I went to the last Raider game, and it was really, really. I felt bad for the city of Oakland because they had it, and then they lost it, and I don't know if it's Gruden's offense or just Carr's gun shy, because when he came into the league with Jack Del Rio, he was running and gunning. They were they called him Blackjack because he was taking gambles. And where I was sitting, I went there with a good friend of mine. He was nice enough to let me sell my tickets, and I got his extra seat, and then I got to pay for my whole trip through selling my tickets. And so we were in the Black Hole. I got to go to the Black Hole. It was the first time I went to a live Raider game, and it was the last game in Oakland. And he was just gun shy. I mean, you just see wide open, and he just wouldn't hit him. Very interesting. I bought 4 tickets, and I'm sure this is why you guys had me on your podcast to talk Raider football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, we get to talk Raider football with this guy.
Sam Tripoli talking about Kansas City and the Raiders.
When they say they're moving to Vegas, I went to college there, went to UNLV, so I'm excited about that. It's actually an easier trip for me to go to Vegas than it is to go to Oakland. It's a much longer drive to Oakland. So I was excited. So I said when the tickets came out, when the first game was announced, I'm going to go rush and grab tickets. So I went there, and they announced it's going to be second game of the season, second week. New Orleans will be at. So I go there, I grab tickets. I grabbed 4. I don't know why I grabbed 4, but I grabbed 4, and they were $750 each. And because I wanted to give I wanted to bring my kids, because I have 2 newborns, so I wanted to bring the baby's mama, my girl. And she's standing right there. They hate things. The fucking rappers ruin everything. They ruin guns, pit bulls, and calling chicks babies mamas. You can't do that anymore. So I decided to do that, and then bring Johnny and XG if they don't piss me off by then to the show. So I grabbed the tickets. They were $750 each, but I've been saving. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab them. So I buy them. And the next day, I get hit up by the ticket broker, and they're like, "Hey, something popped up when we were verifying that you were who you were. Another ticket company sold those tickets, so they're not available anymore. Would you like to find comparable tickets?" I'm like, part of me was like, "Fuck, good, I can get out of it buying these tickets." But I'm like, "Okay, show me what you got." So they looked in the area and they couldn't find anything, and then they're like, "Well, nothing's there. There's 2 more places where you can buy 4 tickets." And one was, they're like, "Well, we got this one in the end zone on the lower level. We have 4 tickets." I go, "Well, there's no way those are the same price." They're like, "No, they're not." And I'm like, "Fuck." They're like, "But what we'll do is we'll cover the difference."
Oh, hell yeah.
So at the time, they were about $1,200 each. So by the time the game starts, I'm probably, if I wanted to, be able to sell them each for twice as what I bought them if I don't want to go. But, I mean, it's the first game in Raiders. I got to go to it.
Gotta go, man.
Yep.
So you're coming to Kansas City soon, is that not right?
It's a long story that I really enjoyed. And you're... What's that?
Said you're coming to Kansas City soon, aren't you?
Well,
I'm
coming the 4th.
The 4th.
June 4th through the 6th.
So
we can talk more Raider football.
Yes.
Yeah, man, we got to come out and see you.
Yeah, no,
we have to.
I'm just curious where you're actually performing at. What venue are you doing?
I don't know if it's a new club, but it's called the Comedy Club in Kansas City.
That's in
It's
Westport.
just called the Comedy Club?
Yeah, it's called the Comedy Club in Kansas City.
We're real creative out here. We're real creative out here in Missouri whenever we come up with, venue names.
Well, you know what's so interesting? They're actually a chain, and they're really great comedy clubs.
Okay.
They're owned by these guys who know how to run comedy clubs. So I'm super excited. They own one in Oklahoma City, Tacoma, and Spokane. And me and Eddie and XT have been playing those for a little while. So I'm coming out by myself because it's going to only be 80 seats. 80 seats each show. So it's not enough to bring out a whole circus. So. But I'm excited to come out. I'm like a rapper that went to prison, comes out with like 3 albums. That's where I am right now. I got so many jokes, so I'm ready just to get on stage and try to get the timing back. So I'm excited to come out. I really am.
This is a good place to warm up, man. If you want to come back, man, there's so much just love in Kansas City. Like we appreciate just all kinds of people. We really have that Southern mentality. Where we just show love like all day. This Kansas City is a great city. I'm a little biased. I get it, but
Yeah. You're way to go out on the limb saying where you live is pretty cool.
Yeah. Good for me. I've actually never been to a comedy show. My girlfriend tried to get me to see Daniel Sloth. I can't say his last name. He's British. But whenever he came through, but I had a broken leg. I broke my leg like literally 2 weeks before, and I couldn't make it. I was really excited to go because I've actually never been to a comedy show. But I love Netflix specials. I love comedy. Like
everything else, they're way better live. I've been to 2 out at the Improv in Zona Rosa, and they're amazing live.
Yeah, so I need to have that experience. This should be a good one for me. I have to go. I'm gonna have to go.
It is interesting when people say they've never been to a comedy club to a certain age because it is such an amazing experience. I thoroughly enjoy it. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy going and watching my friends perform. So it is kind of crazy. And, when people come to see shows, especially like a tinfoil hat or even more, my big show that was at the Comedy Store, and let's all hope the Comedy Store comes back in its old capacity. It's just it's the craziest thing. Live is 10 times better than what you see on a special.
It really is.
Like live is just, it's like watching National Geographic or going and watching like white tigers bite the fuck out of Siegfried Roy. It's like so much better to watch two gay guys get bit than just to hear about it, right?
Yes, absolutely. That makes sense. Man, I gotta ask.
Some of my favorite comics, real quick, are out of Kansas City. Rick Ingram, Chris Porter, John Sheezer, all great comics. Kansas City's got a great comedy scene, dude. Now the crazy thing is, I used to play where what is it? Is it Missouri? Mm-hmm. Now they used to have a comedy club there called Deja Vu that sounds like a strip bar, because I used to work at a strip bar called Deja Vu, right? And but it was this comedy club, and I gotta be honest with you, man, I was pretty blown away. I hadn't played. It's been probably 15 years. I think the club has since closed, but man, Missouri can get some LA super hot chicks. I gotta be honest with you. And my girlfriend's here listening, so she just loves hearing that. But it's like, seriously, it's very impressive. You guys have some symmetrical faces out there, so it's pretty good.
Thanks, man. It makes me feel a little bit better about what I'm doing in my life. I need to get on my game, I guess. Shit. Yeah.
Well, we're excited to have you in Kansas City, man, and we'll all try and be there for sure. I know you're doing like a 3-day set. You said Thursday through like Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, that's my jam. I love Thursday through Saturday. I just want to get big enough that I don't have to play Sunday. Sunday shows are the fucking worst. It's like, who wants to see comedy on a fucking Sunday? There used to be this shithole comedy club called Crackers in Indiana, ran by a batshit crazy cunt. Sorry, is this a Christian show? But she's
fuck no, man.
And
fuck no.
So they used to have Sunday shows, and this was way back in the day when, dude, like Indiana, which is like the most redneck state out there, dude. Like the Ku Klux Klan is from Indiana. That's how fucking redneck this is. You guys got real quiet, like I'm offending you about it.
No, fuck no.
But it's just like, dude, they were dry on Sundays, man. You couldn't serve alcohol. Even when the Colts first came, they couldn't serve beer, and they changed that real quick. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't. So I would do stand up for a bunch of sober motherfuckers, and it's like, why am I even here? My whole thing is to sling drinks. It's like the biggest waste of time for me not to serve. So I don't know what that story was, but the point is, it's like, yeah, I only do it Thursday through Saturday, which I'm super excited about.
There you go.
Enough with inside baseball. What do you guys want?
Oh, okay. Real quick, man.
Bisexual lizard people. What do you guys want?
Yeah, none of that. I gotta ask you. The Duncan Trussell Netflix that his episodes came out, which I wasn't even expecting it to be a podcast thing. I didn't know what the fuck I was getting myself into whenever I started watching it. Have you watched Midnight Gospel at all? The weird animation, dude?
Yeah, I interviewed Duncan on my show. At the last episode, I talk about the last episode, and, I cry when I'm interviewing him because, I've known Duncan's the reason I got picked up at the Comedy Store. Without Duncan, I wouldn't be a regular at the Comedy Store. And when his mother was dying, I would call him up to see how he's doing, and he would tell me that he actually was happy that she was passing. And I didn't understand it, but I understood it because she's in pain. He was super happy, but I couldn't really compute what he was saying. It's very hard for any of us, at least for me, to say that, to hear somebody say they were happy their mom was dying. So when she passed, I sent him a joke, and I said, hey, man, I'm super happy your mom's dead. And it was the worst joke I've ever said in my life, and I felt really bad. But it is my opinion that somebody fucked up and made a show that's so important. So, they usually just serve us dog shit. It's like nothing but like fucking fast food crap. To have something so spiritual hit the airwaves it's like somebody had to make a mistake. You have the episode, if you haven't seen, there's an episode that basically features a guy in prison and how he's
That's
just
episode
learning
3.
over.
Yeah, no, that's the 3rd episode. Dude, that blew my fucking mind, man. The 3rd episode of that.
Well, based on what I see on your around you, I can see that you guys are really into. I'm super happy to be talking to you. You know, you have Tesla, you have tribalism. I think that's JFK. So, you know, I can see that you guys.
Is that fucking JFK?
Yeah.
It is JFK. I don't even know.
Free Society. Right? So I can see that you guys are free thinkers. So Duncan's basically there talking about what do you hear in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which is that we are born many times. We are, according to basically ancient Hindu, ancient philosophies, that we are mortal gods brought down to this realm to learn the lessons of the universe, which are don't lie and be kind and help others. And takes us many lives to learn that. And that's what that episode is about that we have to learn from our mistakes. If not, we are sent back to learn them until we get it done. And he gets more into it on my podcast, explaining exactly what is going on in that episode with all the art and all that stuff. But yeah, somebody fucked up and made a beautiful show that doesn't center around violence and sex and just cutthroat stupidity, and something that you watch, and if you really start studying what's being said there, you're like, you know, the world is so much more interesting than pop culture or anything, than our institutions of learning. Pop culture wants you to know. It's so much more beautiful. And, you know, the thought that we are mortal gods is kind of makes sense. We can control our environment and what we see, and nobody teaches you that. And so I think that was a very important episode. And the last episode was Mother, which is like basically that death is only hard on the living and you shouldn't fear it because there's a rebirth coming. You know, obviously I have children and I would like to stay around for as long as I can so that they can make sure, you know, but when I die, it will probably be way harder on them than it will be on me. And, you know, I don't fear that. I don't want it right now just because I want to be able to take care of my kids and give them all the life lessons I've learned. But it's a very deep episode, and I think people need to, you know, study what they're saying in those episodes.
Yeah, no, that whole TV show concept just blew my mind. That's why I wanted to bring it up to you, because as somebody who's barely into podcasting, like 2 years in, I still feel like I'm barely into it, but I'm like, Duncan Trussell, I'm like, this is cool. Animation, it almost looks like a Adventure Time style animation. I'm like, oh, I'll give this a shot. Like, it's got to be interesting. And next thing I know, I'm like blown away by it. I'm like, man, this is such a crazy fucking idea, man, for a show. And I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
You know that the guy who did
so crazy.
The guy who did Adventure Time, right?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Same artist?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I was like, dude, which I love Adventure Time. I love that cartoon. Like whenever
he approached Duncan, said he loves your podcast and would love to do something with it. And if you watch the show from episode 1 all the way to the last episode, the show really grows and finds itself. And again, I think somebody fucked up because it does not seem to be what modern Hollywood is into putting out, which is brain rot, fill your brain with useless knowledge bullshit. You know, people always like to say that, you know, people are getting dumber, and I totally disagree with that. I think people are just saturated with more useless knowledge. You know, Russian peasants from the 1500s weren't rocket scientists. They just weren't getting bombarded with what black dick fucking Kim Kardashian's banging today, you know? And that's really what it is. It's just like we get hit with the stupid. So during this pandemic that we're all going through, I tell people, turn off the TV and you'll be amazed at how not bad it is right now. And yes, if you have elderly people, if you have people with immune system deficiencies, you got to watch yourself. But if you don't watch the news, you wouldn't even know that this is the worst thing that ever happened. And so, you know, somebody fucked up making that show, in my opinion.
Fantastic, man.
And I mean that in a good way, not a bad way. I mean, like,
yes.
Hopefully it will change the game because, you know, They want to keep it's like with the health industry that we have in this country. It's like there's collusion across the board. They all agree to keep the price at this level. Nobody wants to go below it. That's not free. I keep hearing free market from these fucking libertarians, and I probably most likely identify with libertarianism because I'm an old school liberal, and that seems to be what libertarian leans towards. But make no doubts about it, there is no free market in our health the industrial complex. There's none. There's a collusion across the board. They all agree to keep it up. Free market is cell phones, hamburgers. I mean, dude, I can get a $16 hamburger if I want. I can also get a $1 hamburger if I want. That's free market. I have options. That's not an insurance. I can't go get a discount health insurance. It just doesn't exist. And that's across the board. And a big thing is I wish the Libertarian Party is great, but just like all the other parties, it is corrupt at the top. All the people who run it are completely paid off, and they are purposely driving the fucking boat into an iceberg.
So let me ask you this really quick, since the fact that you're bringing this up, because I'm really big on the fact that the federal government is entirely corrupt, and I mean, pretty much every institution in America right now is pretty fucking fucked up right now, in my opinion. But I feel like whenever, because we've had certain people on that bring up lizard people and shit like that, which I don't know your view on that, but I'm like, man, it almost takes away the average thinker away from, and they go, oh, that's just insane. They're getting packaged into this one conspiracy theory group here. And they just oh, no, that's I don't want to say a chill almost, but it's weird whenever you hear really far out there conspiracy theories, but really shit you can look at that's bad within America, which is just these horribly corrupted institutions, especially the federal government. It's probably the worst. But
it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to when you have someone speaking truth out of their mouth, talking about how everything is corrupt and politics is corrupt and capitalism currently, because we don't have true capitalism or free market, like you mentioned, Sam, is corrupt right now. But so you're like, man, I agree with everything they're saying, and they're making a lot of sense, and they've probably got some true facts. And then a second after that, they mention lizard people living on the moon, stealing your babies. You're like, I shouldn't listen to this person anymore.
The general voting public, or the general population can't grasp that, and they go, oh, well, that's just, and they don't want to associate.
And to that, I tell you, it's not my fucking job to convince anybody of anything. So, that's my rules of the roning. You do not, number 3 is you do not give knowledge to those who do not seek it. And that's just the truth. Listen, man, whatever it is, okay, there is something that's between monkey to man, the missing link. Nobody knows what that is. What really sounds that when you plug it in makes sense is Anunnaki. Right? Who are aliens. The Anunnaki, right?
Fucking aliens. I love the History Channel, bro. I love aliens. I love the History Channel. Come on.
The Anunnaki could easily be aliens, or if you believe in realms, so above, so below, as above, so below, which comes from that there's 7 realms above us, 7 realms below us, okay? There's 15 realms. At one of the lower realms is this group of demons, and the Anunnaki could easily be demons. If you listen to Santos Bonacci, my episode I did with Eddie Bravo and Santos Bonacci, he talks about the realms. And this realm, there are these demons that made a deal with this group of people. So what we're talking about here is some shit that's very, very, very black belt, if not red belt discussion that not everybody is ready for. So all I say to you is this. How is Obama related to the Bushes? How is Obama's grandfather a 9th cousin of George Bush Sr.? How does Queen Elizabeth openly talk about how she is related to not only the Prophet Muhammad, a direct descendant, also Vlad the Impaler? And what do I mean by that? That means that there is a small group of people that are very much related to each other. And like you go, well, Seb, well, we're all related at some point. Like, how far back do you have to go before you find a common ancestor between me and, like, Bill Burr or me and Obama? I guarantee you it's more than 9 generations. Now, 9 generations sounds like a lot to a lot of people. Well, I know somebody who has a mother that's 92 years old. She has a sister, okay, so that's one generation, 2 generations. That sister has a child, okay? That's 3 generations. That child has a great-grandchild. That is 4 generations. That is in one lifetime. So we're talking 2 lifetimes. That's not that much, guys. And we're talking the older you go back, the quicker people had children. So it's not even that far at all, okay? So the point is, like, why are all these people all related? Okay. Why? That's who it is. So when people say lizard people, I know David Icke says it, and he talks about how there's different vibrations and stuff like that. That's some very, very advanced shit to be talking about, okay?
Oh, for sure.
You know, and that's what... and I'll finish up real quick, is that that's what it is. Like, if you have a black belt in conspiracies, doesn't mean you believe everything. It just means you can have a conversation about it, right? So if you come to me and you say, hey, Michelle Obama is a giant chocolate dong, okay? Am I...
Everybody already knew that.
Right? Am I going to run around crazy like the sky's falling? No. I'm going to be like, okay, not my thing. But what do you got? I want to hear what you have to say about. And that's what I'm talking. We can't save everybody, dude. We can't even get these people to believe on who shot JFK, okay? How are we going to get them to understand that there's a ruling class that's been put in us? You know, there's a saying that goes, don't go to bed angry. Do you know why they say that? Mm-mm. Well, because there's this. Have you ever studied the moon? If you study the moon, you'll realize that it makes no sense. What the moon makes no sense when you take it into this understanding, this belief that we are on a rock, turning this way at a certain degree, a speed, why we go this way at a certain speed, but yet this moon, which is way too big to be in our actual gravitational force, it's way too big, and is the only thing in our universe that is in a perfect symmetrical orbit that never changes. There are times, there are cultures which talk about when there was no moon. So the whole thing is that there's something about the moon is an energy. It basically sucks in our energy, and they feed off our negative energy, which is you get into the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which goes back to what we were talking about, the Duncan Trussell, you learn from your past. So there's a lot of shit out there that nobody understands. I'm going to say something that people are going to call me completely retarded for saying.
Well, how stoned are you right now would be my next question after hearing that.
I'm sober, dude.
All right, fair enough. I'm just fucking with you, man.
The laws of physics were created by most likely Freemasons and Jesuits to keep us in a box so that all this amazing stuff that happens outside this box of laws, okay, the laws of physics, gets dismissed automatically, and there's so much more amazing shit out there that people don't understand, and that's
it's worked, has it not? And that's one thing that we talk about on this podcast a lot is how we're under a corporate oligarchy, and I think it's very obvious that that's what we've been under, and just what you explained. I've never looked at it in that way, that there are different degrees to look into conspiracies, and we may not be ready for some of those. I think that's completely.
We're all ready for aliens. Shut the fuck up. Everybody's ready for fucking aliens.
But I mean, that's what we're big on, Sam, in this podcast. Is that, I mean, a lot of podcasts we talked about is just the corporate oligarchy that we're in, man. And
I'm with you on that too. And you know what? There's different degrees, and I find it very interesting that some people, like, I have friends of mine, like, let's say somebody like Jimmy Dore. I don't know if you guys know who Jimmy Dore is. He has a wonderful political podcast, right? He's really in, and like someone like Abby Martin, really great. They're into geopolitical. They're into media corruption. They're into corruption that starts war. All this stuff like that. But they stop at certain things like false flags. NASA's no good. You know, the lies that NASA told us, they stop there. And what all I've got to say to that is, like, take your skepticism of whatever conspiracy you're into and apply that to these other kind of conspiracies. And I'll never shoot down a conspiracy. I always listen to it, but it doesn't mean I always will believe it, but I'll listen to it. And I think that's kind of interesting when some people are into some conspiracies, but but are open-minded to hearing other conspiracies, which I find very interesting.
I think you put it best at the very beginning of this, which I didn't even realize. You talked about like your rules, and you said your third rule about you're not there to teach other people. And I never thought about it that way, because when we do this podcast, we're not educating people, but we are talking about stuff we believe in. So when I talked about like, oh man, if you talk about something reasonable and then you talk about something that I deem unreasonable, like lizard people, then nobody's going to believe you. But I didn't think about the fact that, like, I mean, we all love discussing conspiracy theories. We talk about it all the time, but we don't talk about it as much on the podcast for that reason, because there's things that we feel are super important to talk about, and we feel like if we say the other things, the people might not trust us as well if we were to talk about conspiracy theory kind of stuff in general.
I respect that, and again, I mean, I hope you guys didn't take it as being like
no,
anything like that.
Not at all.
But I'm the same way with flat Earth. My best friend is Eddie Bravo. He's a flat Earth guy. It is not my thing. It's just not my thing. I believe in realms. Okay, that's what I believe in. But you know, there's people who, once you hear flat Earth, they completely dismiss everything. And once you say flat Earth, you become Charlie Brown's mom, and you're just like, wah, 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 wah.
Exactly.
And no one's listened to you after that. So I always go, what is, you know, what's the best way to operate there? And like, but I also know that there's, you know, some people aren't going to hear anything you have to say. So here are my rules of the Ronin. I've made these rules, and these rules are about not getting into identity politics, okay? Which is really, and the rules of the Ronin are one. Number one, I am part of no group, okay? Two, I do not defend those I do not personally know, okay? Three, I do not defend, I defend no action or decision that I was not personally a part of making, okay? And number four, I do not spread knowledge to those who do not seek it. And five, we right the wrongs. And some people will be like, well, dude, fucking 3 and 5, fucking, they conflict. No, they don't, when you understand it, okay? And the understand is, I know that we are committing genocide in Yemen. I want to do whatever I can to stop that. I don't need to know the two people involved, okay? But when some people are just defending Hillary, and we'll even say some people defending Trump because they have an R and a D by their name, you're committing identity politics. And you're why fucking we can't get along on anything, dude. You know, the defending of Bill Gates, when people don't even know, even in the face of so much facts that what a scumbag this is all identity politics. And that's what we're talking about. A true Ronin, no lords, no masters, is part of no group, dude.
Is there any CEO, billionaire, who's made it to that precipice where they are financially that isn't like fucked in a little bit of way? Because I have this weird thing that I'm like, man, money, even though like somebody like Elon Musk, and I was so big on Elon Musk, and in which I still am. I still am big on Elon Musk. But man, it's so hard to believe somebody with so much influence and so much power as far as that goes. Is there anybody that doesn't become corrupted at some point because of money or their position of power? Is that just inevitable, basically?
Well, I mean, like, everything. I listen, man. There's an old saying: you have a better chance of getting, you know, a camel through the eye of Neil than a rich man into heaven. And you know, that might be true. I don't want to condemn all people, all things, but you know, when you take a look at like the two-party system, the R's and the D's, and like the D's supposedly represent liberals, and I'm a very old school liberal. I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm not a lefty. I'm not any of that shit. I'm an old school liberal. Live and let live, which, you know, is traditionally connected to conservatism. It is not. It is 100% a liberal idea. Just like guns, just like speaking out against the government, when they were put out, those were shocking liberal ideas, okay? So that's what I am. But, you know, we take a look at the two-party system, and you take a look at the DNC, And the reason it's not working is because real liberals don't run for office. Real liberals do all their work on a local level. They work at hospitals. They work at homeless shelters. They work and they help people on a local. They don't run for power. That's not their thing. So these people that are representing us or representing the liberal side are just scumbag liars. And that's why they're taking a beating right now, because in order to compete at that high level, you have to suck the dicks of corporate fucking America. And a real liberal doesn't want to do that. The real liberal are people over profits. And, you know, there's some people get mad at me about conservatism. And listen, dude, I'm telling you, the people who think they're conservatives are very much probably old school liberals right now. Something happened about 5-6 years ago. The RNC ditched the religious right, which was dragging them down. And there was a discussion how there will never be another Republican president again, because the religious right was so out of touch with what was going on in the rest of America. At some point, they cut that loose, and they said, you guys are your own thing. We're going to be more the business party. And that's why they won. And so that's why. Do I think there could be a good liberal out there? I mean, a good person, excuse me, not liberal, but a billionaire who's a good person? I mean, it's possible, but I think there comes a little bit of psychopath to want to get to that level of money. Like, because at some point you're like, I got enough money. I'm doing good. You know, I own Bitcoin, right? And they say Bitcoin could get up to $300 million of Bitcoin that one guy had. That's the only way I'm going to get to be a billionaire, is if that thing explodes so much. And I have like 6 or 7 of them. If that happens, everybody's getting paid, brother.
Shit.
Speaking of billionaires, man, Bill Gates, and I know I originally emailed you and wanted to talk about him a little bit. And we were talking outside about just a general conspiracy. And I think that there's a lot of weight, just like with when I watched your and Eddie Bravo's podcast when he came on last on your show, that clip that CBS came out with about how how Bill Gates was actually flying on his plane, went to the island. Like, just shed some light on that, man. That is fucking wild.
How the fuck did we forget about Epstein, man?
It's not only that, but he is a what is it called? The board of, he is what's it called when you're basically in control of someone's estate? Not board of regents. Trustee. He's a trustee of Epstein's basically his business of
no
his
fucking
fortune.
way.
Yeah,
no
dude.
Fucking way.
And yeah, dude, he was funding him well after everybody told him everything that was going on with Epstein. Bill Gates continued. Bill Gates is a fraud. Everything about him is a fraud. He is well spoken because that's all he has to do is speak. He is a fraud. Everything about him's a fraud. The story about him's a fraud. He's not a self-made man. His father ran the fucking Federal Reserve of Washington. Okay? His mother worked at IBM. He stole that operating system for Microsoft. Microsoft's logo is the swastika. Okay? I mean, like everything. He's about to be sued in Italy. So that would make 3 countries suing him. Bill Gates is a fraud. Okay? He's a real life penguin from the fucking Batman fucking comic book. He's got pedo skin, which looks like mozzarella cheese on your fucking pizza. He's a fucking scumbag, and he needs his ass beat, dude. And he shouldn't be allowed to walk freely, dude. And here's what I'm telling you, brother. We are entering a very, very interesting time in humanity, and especially in this country. It is my belief that Trump will most likely win. Well, first of all, Joe Biden is purposely throwing the game so that Hillary can walk in at the last second and run for the DNC.
And that still won't work out, though.
Didn't Joe Biden just say, if you're not black if you don't vote for me?
Yes, he did just say that.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, man. How the fuck can you say that?
He said that because he doesn't want you to pay attention to these tapes that were just released of him doing pro quo with the Ukrainian government. And though that audio just got released where he basically told them, listen, take care of this or else you're not getting the money, which is what Trump went to was impeached or attempted to impeach him on.
Is that the same video that's been out for years now that you've been able to access when he was having that conversation with those people in Ukraine? Is that the same?
No. That is the CFR in which he admits to it, which is hilarious. But this is the actual conversation where he's talking to the Ukrainian leader about it. Now, it is my belief that conversation is being leaked by Hillary Clinton. She's leaking that to cripple his already fake campaign, so that at the end everyone is begging Hillary to run so she can step in at the last second, because Hillary's so old and dumb. She doesn't, and she's not dumb, she's honestly diabolical, but she's dumb in the fact that she doesn't really know what's going on the internet. She doesn't understand it, and she doesn't realize every time one of her social media people puts something out about her, she gets beat like a piñata. So her Obama's brand, Clinton's brand, Gates' brand, all dead. And it is my belief that Trump will be the last of the two-party candidates that people will vote for. Unless Trump really honestly does what he said he's going to do, starts arresting these people, which I don't see it happening, okay? People will be done, and I'm telling you, he's going to be the last of the two-party candidates, in my opinion.
Well, it's just crazy to look at. I'm only 29 years old, and looking back on presidential candidates and everything, I've never had a president in my life that hasn't gone 2 terms. So, I mean, statistically, right there,
you can actually look it up and go all the way back to the beginning. Statistically, it's really high. It's like 86% are always reelected.
What year were you born?
I'm 91.
Oh, yeah, so you were after George Bush Sr. was the last.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then before that was Jimmy Carter. But, yeah, I mean, dude, when George Bush got reelected after lying to everybody about what was going on.
And the Patriot Act and everything.
That motherfucker's painting oil paintings right now, like somewhere, like, I don't...
Just coked out of his mind.
No, probably not coked out of his mind.
The whole Kavanaugh hearing was a sham, right? That woman who accused him of it, her father, she's CIA. Her father was in charge of finding funding for CIA black ops, and that she works at Stanford, and she works at the intern program for the CIA at Stanford. It was a complete and utter scam, and it was done so you didn't look at Kavanaugh's history. And Kavanaugh's history was he was part of the Vince Foster cover-up. He wrote the Patriot Act. He believes that the president is above the law. He doesn't believe in search warrants. He believes in the military. A police force, basically martial law, and he doesn't believe that the government shouldn't be allowed to spy on you. And that's why they did that whole thing.
Talking about like full-on like totalitarianism or authoritarianism.
Well, this is what really pisses me off, because as far as like early 1800s, Americans were fighting against to get away from Britain and this family monarchy, basically, that came through bloodlines, basically. We're like, man, just because you're born into something doesn't mean you get to rule us, was the big thing. I think the big picture. And now we have the same thing happening right now, to where it's what families you're born into that get to fucking run shit. It's no fucking different. I don't see any different than a monarchy to what we have right now, because if you're not born into a political family, good fucking luck getting votes fucking somewhere, because that's where the money's at. It's the same thing, but it's just set up differently, and it always happens this way, and it's so frustrating for me.
The only slight difference is it's money now instead of blood.
And that's how I view hierarchies. I'm like,
it's still blood, dude. It's still blood.
No, I agree. It's ridiculous. It's this hierarchy. It's this hierarchy that will always happen. It's almost the human flaw. At some point, whenever you look at it through history, it's almost unavoidable. Like, it'll happen again. Like, the best thing that could happen is, I think, fuck the federal government. We restructure. We do things differently. Maybe even, divvy up some of that power to where it's governed, West, Midwest, and then East Coast is completely almost like separate countries nearly. That way, at least people can have, better governing abilities as far as your vote goes and who you are as a person.
And this is where
I know I'm getting a little...
I disagree with you on that because, look, with all these governors who have powers, you have 50 different governors controlling everything that's happening right now with the situation, the pandemic that's going on. And these governors, some of these governors are taking that way too far, and they're making restrictions. And granted, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that I'm right in any way, shape, or form. But some of these guys, like Los Angeles, this dude's saying Los Angeles is not going to open until August. Right, so these governors have powers that are unimaginable. So I don't know if breaking off into separate countries would be the right way. But sorry, Jesse.
And I know, but just some kind of divvying up of power. There's too much power in the fucking federal government, and it's literally the thing that we fucking fought against to create this country is what this country is right now. It's you just look at it. It's plain and there. That's not even a conspiracy theory, in my opinion. That is blatant, right in front of your fucking eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest thing is that it's not real. It's just like we have all the power, and just nobody realizes that. And, whenever we push back, they fold hard because they know we are the power. And if you take a look at California, like L.A. will be closed till August, right? That's what you're saying? It's crazy. But Huntington Beach is wide open. Why? Because they fucking push back. And whenever you push back, the powers that be fucking fold. I mean, like, everyone's like, oh, dude, what, these cucks, and they're like hatred of, dude, anybody that doesn't understand the history of guns and sits there and says that we don't need guns is fucking lost. Now, if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're an ethnic minority, and you don't know the history of guns, you're in for a rude awakening. Because when guns go, okay, you become marginalized, all right? And it's the history of it, brother. And that's how it goes. We have a bunch of people that don't know history, born into the lap of luxury, and they just fucking want to play because they think everything's going to be fine. And you have these people who are millionaires who think they're part of the elites, and they are not. I mean, dude, elites are like generational old school money. People born in this world with $200 million. It's not just fucking show up and you hit the fucking lottery, okay? It's not that at all, okay? So I live in California where we just had these huge fires, and you got to try to convince me it wasn't direct energy weapons when you had old school metal I mean, we're not talking this new millennium metal that fucking just melts and cries when its feelings are hurt. We're talking about old school metal melting. Now, forest fires at the highest levels burn at 1,200 degrees, okay? Metal burns at 1,500. How is that possible? Because it was direct energy weapons, and they're trying to get rid of all those fucking houses because they want to put a high-speed rail in there, and they don't want to pay trillions of dollars for the property. So you burn everything down, you condemn it, and you buy it at pennies on the dollar, okay? So those houses that they were burning down, those are movie stars, movie producers, heads of studios, fucking houses, and they torch those motherfuckers like they were peasants. So it's like they don't get this thing, dude. We are the power. We are all the power. And when we push back. So I've been talking about this on my show, but the truth of the matter is that the Black Lives Matters march, the Women's March, and the Open Up March are all marching against the exact same people. But they can't get along because you got this media getting them all fighting with each other. They're all marching against cops overstepping their authority and the government taking away our personal rights. But they won't get along because they're being, first of all, the people at the top are all corrupt. These people starting these things are all taking Soros or Koch money, okay? But the average person is all marching against the same people, dude, which are fucking violent cops and a government that's trying to tell you what you could do with your body and infringe on your constitutional rights. And that's the fucking truth.
So we did a podcast last week with the Pat and Brandon from the Truth, Money, Freedom podcast. And within the podcast, and I'm just curious, Sam, what your thoughts are. When America broke away and we left and we came to America, and then this is what we've came to. But anyways, in 1971 is when we left the gold standard. And Brandon and Johnny put a link to the website, right?
Yeah, it's WTF happened in 1971. It talks about breaking away from the gold standard and the fact that the Federal Reserve was installed, and that's like basically the death of our economy right there, and how you get people, like you said, Sam, about people being in power and they've got generational power, and that's just a stronger way for them to continue to hold that.
So my question is,
the Federal Reserve was installed in 1913.
Oh, my bad.
By Woodrow Wilson, who is by far the worst president in history. It isn't even close. Woodrow Wilson is the worst president in the history of this country. He gave us personal tax when we were only supposed to have tax like that during war times. And he gave us the Federal Reserve. Nobody voted on them. They were done in fucking the dark of the night on Christmas Eve when nobody voted on it. Woodrow Wilson is the worst American ever to be alive. We should dig up his grave and fuck him up and just fuck and then bury him and then dig him up again and fuck him up some more.
But I mean, I was just curious on your thoughts. So, like, up until 1971, when we did have a gold standard, do you think that held true? Like, we actually in this graph, it shows that quality of life was good. You know, like the husband could go to work, he could, you know, everyone could go to college, he could pay for his kids' college, have a nice house, working at a fucking grocery store, right? But then in 1971, whenever we left the gold standard, that's when you see a decline in quality of life, and you have both parents working 2 jobs just to make ends meet, and you see, you know, I don't. What are your thoughts on the gold standard?
That was part of it. Yes, of course, dude. It was about just printing unlimited money. A lot has to do with them just wanting to jack their cash. And then also, make no doubts about it, the lying of Bill Clinton and Al Gore and what free trade actually, did to this country. Free trade destroyed this country. And we were lied to, okay? And those two tag teamed us, and where we are right now. And that's why, like, people can say whatever they like about Trump. I mean, you know, I like a lot of things that he has done. There's a lot of things I don't like. But his pushback on free trade is huge. I mean, he's a nationalist, and he's fighting globalists. And it's like, where do you want to – if you had to choose by one of these two people, who would you want to live by? A fucking crime boss or a satanic pedophile? Which one you want to do? Those are your choices. And that's who's banging with each other right now. Trump isn't perfect. He doesn't walk on water. He's got a Zionist problem. There's things his administration is doing that I just fucking flat out disagree with. But there's things that I like that he's doing more than the last 5 presidents combined, my opinion.
I think it really comes down to the origin of the problem is how everything is run right now. Like, the federal government is so corrupt, man. I don't think there's any way around it with how our voting process goes and anything. It's got to be fundamentally redone, which is so scary for me to have that mentality because I know what that takes to change it, which is not just going to be some shaking of fucking hands, you know, in front of the fucking Bible, you know, out in front of the fucking White House. It's going to be some fucking serious shit.
You're talking about stuff nobody wants to...
I just cussed way too much.
You're talking about the stuff that nobody wants to talk about how people...
tone down on that.
People got to die. I mean,
basically, no,
people
that's what
die.
it is. We have to fundamentally, in my opinion, in order to really change this, which is a huge problem, man, that's going to take so much. That's a scary mentality to have.
Yep. You know what? People did it for you. People did it for me. And we're going to have to do it for the next generation. And if it is, it is what it is. I'd rather die on my feet than on my knees. So if it is what it is, man, I don't want it. But if I got to do it, I got to do it.
I agree with you. But the problem is that history is cyclical. And we've always gone through this fucking process. So let's say we overthrow, shit gets changed, shit's better, and then people get put in power. And this is what I always talk about as far as hierarchies go. I'm like, whenever there's a hierarchy, which is inevitable within humanity, hierarchies, people get put in positions of power over other people. Eventually, over a long enough period of time, they will abuse their position of power, and then that cycle happens again. It's such a... Man, is this just... humanity? I don't fucking know because that's my thing, man.
Dude, is that if there wasn't this group of people, which you don't like the term lizard people, I just say because people know what it means, who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for this group of people, I wonder would there be any war? Would there be any crime? Would there be any poverty? Okay, and the answer is most likely no. We've always believed that that war and greed is in us, but since the beginning of time, these people have been ruling us. The people who assassinated Julius Caesar is the same group that assassinated JFK. They've been around that long. Black nobility's been around forever. These 13 families who made deals with these demons, they've been running us. And you know what, man? Dude, we might have to get ugly. Go after the City of London. Go after the Vatican. Go after these guys, because that's where the power's at, and they don't give a shit about us. They sold their souls, man, and they know where they're going is bad.
I love that you brought up the Vatican, because this is what I've said this. This will probably be like the 5th time I've said this on the podcast. Whenever the Vatican gets brought up, I'm like, the Vatican is a festering scab that needs to be fucking lifted from the face of the earth. That place is so much corruption. It's insane, and it's just out there, and everybody knows. Movies get made about the corruption, and people just sit back and go, "Oh wow, that's so interesting." But we allow the fucking, they're still, the fucking Vatican.
The Jesuits run everything, and they get these idiots to blame the Jews, and it's just the truth. The Jesuits run everything. The 13 families run everything. The black nobility, they're all the same people. Hitler was a Rothschild. It's all the same shit, dude.
No shit. How tell me how Hitler was a Rothschild.
His father was named Olis Schreckenbecker, changed his name to Olis fucking Hitler. His mother was Baron Rothschild's housemaiden. She got pregnant by him and took off to Austria. It's basically the story of Jon Snow, just bizarro evil version.
Weird, man. I've never heard that before in my life.
Hitler died in Argentina. He was smuggled out basically by the Jesuits down to Argentina, where a bunch of them all died peacefully. It was all, dude. There's in the creation of Israel, there are one name that is there for each bit of the journey. First of all, is the Balfour Agreement or doctrine. That was where the Rothschilds were given the rights to what was then Palestine, okay? And then Hitler was a Rothschild, and then the actual creation of Israel all involved the Rothschilds, okay? So it is what it is, man. And it's like these Khazarian motherfuckers, dude. And it's just real.
So I always really liked the Rothschild connection to the first stock market crash. What was it? Man, I'm so fucking bad at this. Was it in the 1920s in America, where the Rothschild? I really love this.
You're talking about where they bought up everything and owned everything.
Where they literally staged and they freaked the fuck people out.
Great Depression.
And pre-Great Depression, to where they had all this press influence as far as media goes, and they had this propaganda that made people start pulling out their money, crash the fucking stock market, and the Rothschilds was a part of this group of people that just bought up all this shit. I've always believed in that one.
Well, if you look at what the actual story that's told about the Rothschilds' rise to power, which I think is a lie, because they're part of the original 13 families, and the Bushes are Rothschilds. Okay, Abraham Lincoln was a Rothschild. Okay, these are all Rothschilds, and basically what happened was that so Napoleon loses the war to England, but what happened was that the Rothschilds told everybody that England lost the war, so everybody in England sold their bonds. So then the Rothschilds came in and bought all their bonds, and then they controlled the British pound. And that's how the story goes. They went to power. I don't think that's real. I think that's just a story, kind of like the Facebook movie isn't real, okay? That didn't really happen. Zuckerberg didn't invent Facebook. Those two twins didn't get it robbed from them. It was all a lie. If you look at February 4th, 2004, okay, the Pentagon stopped a program called LifeLog. Okay, and that was a program which they would create something that would collect your data for your entire life. Do you know what day Facebook was basically registered as a business? February 4th, 2004, the exact same day. That movie and that story is all a lie, a foundation to basically, so people didn't realize that Facebook, Google are all CIA and Pornhub. There you go.
It's weird. I haven't heard.
Don't take fucking Pornhub away from me, goddammit.
Pornhub is the CIA.
I don't.
Thing.
I don't use Facebook because I hate Facebook. I hated Facebook for different reasons. But then I watched a documentary on Netflix, which really was, man, I can't fucking remember the name of it.
But I know what you're talking about.
It had to do with it.
Guys, I hate to do. I have to go. I'm having some
You're good, man.
issues right now.
You're good, brother.
So my apologies. I owe you guys a second part of this. And I would love to continue this conversation, but I got a kid emergency that just happened. So
you're good,
Daddy's got to go. I hope to see you guys in Kansas City, and we'll go from there, okay?
Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir.
Thank you
Sam.
so
Good
much,
to talk
Sam.
to you. Thanks for
I'm
joining.
really
so much.
sorry about this. My apologies.
It's all good, man.
No problem.
All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Sorry.
Take it easy.
Coolio.
There you have it. Sam Tripoli joining Talk Junkies, man. That was fun, exciting, exhilarating. A lot of information within 1 hour.
It's cool to. I will say it's cool to actually get to
man.
to get to talk to the guy about some stuff that's not just like watching his podcast is entertaining, but not just watching that, but to actually hear like real conversation there and everything.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Just picking his brain on certain subjects just to see what his thoughts are about it, and it's very interesting to get it from that perspective as opposed to our own perspective.
Yeah.
And the guests that we've had on those conversations, which was really cool to actually ask or put into Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast, like interject that into that podcast and see what he thinks. It's awesome, man. It's fucking cool. So,
Man, that ended abruptly.
He's got,
Man,
he's got. I think
cool.
I'm pretty sure
He's a guy.
pretty sure he had twins. I could be wrong, but he has 2 new babies, or it could be 1. I'm pretty sure it's 2, and baby emergencies, man. I know all about that. So
I'm dedicating myself right now to go to the my first comedy show.
Let's
Will
do
be
it,
Sam
man.
Tripoli's.
Comedy
club.
100%. I don't care if I have to take off work. I don't care if
80
it
people,
pays.
man. Sam, I might actually email you, man, because that's probably already sold out. So give us 3 tickets, man. 3 tickets.
I'll pay premium.
Yeah,
like,
we'll
I don't
pay
even want it for
premium,
free.
man.
I'll give you $300. I'll give you $300 just for my ticket. Put me in the back. Just give me standing room. Man, that was so good. One thing that I always like to bring up whenever, because typically conspiracy theory podcasts tend to get a little dismal, especially when we ever talk about government and we discussed what it would take to change things, and that's very scary. So I think my biggest piece of information or wisdom, the little that I fucking have to give to people, is just be a good person on a moment-to-moment basis in who you interact with. I always say it like, put away your shopping cart after you're done. Like, the little things matter. Care about. Don't be so with the blinders on, like it's only you moving forward. It's everyone else involved.
100%.
So that's the one little piece.
I think that's what we all forget, is that we're all in it together, man. And like he said, and I know that they talked about it with Duncan Trussell and stuff like that. Like, some people embrace dying. Like, dying's just a part of life, man. And unfortunately, we're all divided. And in my opinion, what's currently happening right now is dividing us more than ever. And the one thing that we can do is just what you just said, Jesse. Care for one another, be there for one another. We're going to get through whatever this is right now, and we're going to make it strong, man.
Well, and don't let, like you said, take the blinders off. But
Take
don't
the
let
blinders off,
But
man.
the blinders are the stuff that people don't realize, like the news, like the mainstream media, all this other stuff that's separating. Honestly, Sam put it better than I did in the past, where I talked about how if you have $500,000 a year, like, you're real close to poor people compared to millions. He went even higher. He said millions. Like, if you're a movie star,
that blew my fucking mind.
It's a valid point, and it's what I said before. If you're a movie star, or if you think you have a ton of money, you're a millionaire, you make $500,000 a year, you're like, I'm above these peasants, I'm above these poor people, I shouldn't care about them, so I'm gonna vote with the rich people. You have no idea. You're right next to the bottom on a huge scale. This is the poorest. Here's the millionaires. Here's the millionaires, and then everybody. Like, the billionaires are way up here. The people who control the shit are way above you. Don't think you're close to them. You should be siding. Actually, you shouldn't be siding at all. But just, man, treat other people with respect.
Take it moment
We're
to
all
moment.
humans.
Take it moment to moment. Be kind to other people.
Yes.
Be respectful to other people. This shouldn't have to be reiterated so much, but so much I see. And maybe it's just like what media is showing is just the worst of humanity. Like, the 1%.
That's what they do, man. We went over it, man.
But no, it probably doesn't need to be reiterated, but it's important.
Thank you, Sam, for coming on Talk Junkies, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Sam Tripoli, baby.
Yes, man, that was fucking awesome, dude.
I wanted it to go longer. I really did. I was super pumped for that one. You should have seen us before we had him on. Like, we were really like, man, this is a big one. Yeah. Man, but that was. I feel like it was good.
It was, man. So
hopefully it was good.
Hey, if you like,
he enjoyed it.
If you like the video, definitely comment below on anything that you heard within the podcast that you may question or have concerns with, and just lay it out there in a comment, man. Johnny and I, and mainly Johnny and I, look at the comments. Johnny might start replying to comments. I don't know. We'll see.
I rarely reply. I do look at every single one. I just rarely reply. That's usually Paul.
Maybe you'll start replying, but definitely comment below. Hit that like button to break the algorithms, man. Because Talk Junkies, we're trying to fucking build upon this greatness and having even just greater or having more guests come on the show. But yes, comment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification to all our junkies out there.
Stay fly and ring the bell.